Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is going to be on Polypoid. Upper left hand corner, we have Quickly starting as the blue Protoss. Bottom right hand corner, we have Emily Dickinson, the American poet, returning from the dead to play Zerg. And I'll be honest, I chose this particular replay just because of that name. I don't know if they're a player of note or they have an alias otherwise, but for now, we're going to treat it as American poet Emily Dickinson, who is renowned. I'm very curious how a poet becomes renowned, to be honest. It just feels so, there's a lot, you know, it feels like poetry, music, a lot of things become very subjective. Every once in a while, there's like a musician who has just incredible skill, right? There's guitarists like Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix is just insanely good at guitar, and it sounds amazing. Or you have other people that are just kind of pioneers of like a certain sound, like Muddy Waters or whatever, and you're like, okay, yeah, these guys are notable because of their creativity. But then there's other people that, you know, they're doing kind of the same thing everybody else is doing. So I always wonder, like in the space of poetry, what makes a particular poet more notable, you know? Or it's just like, yep, this is the one. Maybe it's just good old boys / girls club deciding everything, conspiracy globally. That's it. Now we're going to root against Emily Dickinson here. By the way, it looks like we're seeing an overpool bottom right hand corner. So Gateway first, overpool bottom right hand corner, and first scout upper right hand corner by Quickly. I'm going to favor Quickly just mostly because higher rating on the ladder, but I might be underestimating Emily Dickinson's raw skills. I mean, does this make Emily Dickinson Kerrigan? Back from the dead? Other thoughts. Anyway, we're actually seeing a drone scout upper right, and so an initial drone going to go ahead and grab that natural expansion as well after the spawning pool is complete. In the meantime, we do have 2 pylons up, a first zealot in construction. And I feel like I'm never sure whether to say this is better for Protoss or better for Zerg at cross position. My heart wants to say it's better for Protoss, mostly because, okay, yeah, your initial zealot has a harder time getting across the field, but usually your first zealot's just walking down here to get behind the mineral lines anyway, right? And force a few Zerglings out at best. But after the fact, right, this is just a lot of space where zealots can get lost in the mid game. And also Zergling counters or all-ins or 973 attacks. This is a lot of distance to traverse. So I guess what I should say instead is it ends up being beneficial at different stages of the map. It's almost like this Brood War game has dynamics that shift over time, which make it interesting and compelling as a game. Speaking of that first zealot, it's going to make its way into the 6 o'clock base as part of that hatchery. I hear that sarcasm, they're like, people with sarcasm, it's a bad thing because it's, you know, latently. This is going to be 3 zealots queued up here early, by the way. No forge yet, a pylon instead in the midst of this. So we're going to see yet even other zealots, a ramp blockade. The 3 Zerglings going to march up and get the scout, and the 3 Zerglings do not beat that 1 zealot, interestingly enough. But in the meantime, the zealot has done pretty decent damage to that hatchery at the 6 o'clock. That probe stayed alive and has managed to get additional scouting information. The Zergling's missing out on an opportunity to do some free damage. A second zealot making its way out to the 6 o'clock. And this is what I was talking about here. So that zealot's out on the field. These 2 Zerglings able to sneak through the gap at the very least. It's only 2 Zerglings, so it's usually not a huge threat because Zerglings honestly don't do terribly well against probes on occasion. A slew of Zerglings making their way to the 6 o'clock, and with them arriving on the front, quickly repositioning. Is he still going to go into the 6 o'clock with that? Man, he's done a lot of damage to this hatchery, though. That hatchery is below 1/3 health. Zealot now showing up on that Overlord radar. The Zergling's going to try to scramble up to make it happen. Transfer the natural expansion. Ooh, it looks like okay, how many kills have these Zerglings got? We got 1 kill, just probably the one. 2. We got 2 probe kills, which is nothing to sneeze at, actually. Pretty decent. Enough chaos on the map that... Ooh, and no... In the meantime, Emily not saturating that natural expansion at all, by the way. That's been all Zerglings. So those initial zealots... And this is what I was talking about. Those. So yeah, okay, the Zerglings were able to get into the main and create a little bit of havoc. But 2 probes I don't think is worth your entire emptied natural expansion because you had to build so many Zerglings to deal with the zealots in the mid game. So I'm putting Quickly in a strong situation here, and usually you want to be around. So you would add 3 workers here, maybe, in the midst of this. Cybernetics Core now blocking out that back path. This is what I was talking about. Goodbye, Zergling. And that was just straight up with the probes. Nice micro there. But usually you want to be around, yeah, you wanted to be at the 22, 20, in the 20s. You wanted to be in the 20s much earlier than this, like a minute ago. And instead we got a photon cannon on the front, +1 weapons, a bunch of zealots, and a Stargate already building. And a lot of Zerglings that are just going to have to sit outside this wall and stare longingly. Wow, a lot of Zerglings actually here. 2 additional drones making their way out on the map, which seems like a micro mistake from Emily. Yeah, I'm going to pull that back. I'm like, are we going to see a proxy hatchery? I haven't seen that in quite some time. I feel like there is some sort of metagame. There's got to be some sort of strategy where you could get a proxy hatchery out before that, because oftentimes we'll see where this Corsair goes, but a lot of times the Corsair does not go out to the front, and sometimes Protoss are lazy and they don't send these the zealots out to confirm what's going on out here, right? Which means proxy hatch city, you could get some Sutton colonies down on the front. I think that would be a lot of fun. Huge risk, of course. 4th hatchery planting down. Emily somewhat later in the build order than would be desirable. I think the Corsair should be able to get at least an Overlord kill. This Overlord scrambling. We'll see if it can find pay dirt. 5th hatchery dropping at the 6 o'clock base, and a second extractor going into place. This could be 6 hatch Mutalisk, but I'm guessing this is actually going to turn into 5 hatch Mutalisk just because the drone count. So see, you saw that Corsair go this way, completely ignored that area. It could have happened, people. It could have happened. Not very likely, but anyway, one day. +1 weapons also queued up, and Citadel of Adun to maybe get some Dark Templar out on the map, and that'll definitely help defend against certain things. But anyway, natural expansion hatchery being spotted. The Overlords there getting attacked against, and we do have some Scourge. Well, never mind. I was about to say we got some Scourge queued up. It looks like they're queued up at the natural expansion. So no Overlord kill here off the bat. And quickly now, well, we'll see. So found the Overlord here, but I think, yeah, with the Scourge recognizably out in the field, now the Zealots marching out. But man, they could have been marching out into... No, I'm just kidding. Probably wouldn't have been time to get the Sutton colonies up. Scourge going to try to mirror the Zealot movement. This is going to force out, and there's that 6 hatchery, by the way. Creep colony here at the 6 o'clock location. I don't think they're... It's just going to be Zerglings, because there's not going to be a lot of Mutalisk. And here's kind of the problem for Zerg at this stage, is you need something to deal with these Zealots. And this is why I was thinking it was going to be 5 rather than 6. Simply because there are no Mutalisks in the air to deal with this. Quickly would have gotten some bonus damage, either at the natural or the main. Forced out at least, well, 2 Sutton colonies at least forced out, maybe. Could have gotten some drone kills, I think, with that. But instead, just going to draw back. In the meantime, we have 4 Corsair on the front. The 5th Corsair about to be grouped up. That's going to be with +1 weapons. And we've got 3 gateways, a 4th gateway probably, and it come down. We'll see the gateway count, or the raw gateway count is already at 4, but we'll see if it goes up to 6 in the midst of this. I'm guessing it's actually going to just stick at 6 once that +1 weapons is queued up. And we're going to see a Zealot. We're going to see that +1 Zealot leg speed. The Mutalisks presenting themselves at the natural expansion. Able to get 1, 2 probe kills, but might lose their lives entirely for this. 3, 4, actually getting a lot of bonus kills in the midst of this. Scourge making the way up. Now the Corsairs are there. Wow, that's a lot of Scourge though. And there's no defensive, there's the defensive cannon, but the Zealot's scrambling out on the map now. Scourge is taking some hits. This air fleet completely out of position. +1 armor is a ways off, so it looks like Emily wants to own the air, but might have some trouble doing so. We got, what, 5 Zealots breaking off. These Zealots coming to the north. The Mules now know where to head. The Corsairs are mirroring the movements, however. A lot of Hydrals being produced in the space of this. The Evolution Chamber is going to get focused down. That will delay those Mutalisk upgrades, or those Hydrals upgrades, for quite some time. And the Corsairs also finding pay dirt. Well, having some trouble microing against all this. Oh, the Scourge going to be able to wipe out a lot of that Corsair fleet, but it's still actually going to be decent enough with that +1 weapons before that armor comes in to wipe out all of these Mutalisks. And now the 6 o'clock base, nice drone drill taking care of the Zealots to the south, but all the Mutalisks are gone. Delayed mining, dead Evolution Chamber, and quickly now all of a sudden up a massive amount of supply, and might even be able, with some support Corsair, might even be able to get some additional Overlords. Not that it matters, because Emily Dickinson currently at like half the supply cap in the midst of this, and now is going to have to fill in with a lot of Hydralisks. Ooh, back out Corsair. Lurker Tech now upgrading additional Scourge out in the field, so quickly getting a good amount of damage. Now surging after those Mutalisks have been picked out of the air, surging to additional gateways. That was kind of interesting. Wanted to see how that attack went before dropping the gateways. I haven't seen that before. And actually just going to march out and go ahead and grab a third. Is the third going to be on the high ground currently? There's not a lot that Emily can do about it. The Scourge chasing down that attack force. Actually, quickly wanted to go for another attack. Maybe at the, well, there's no detection currently. Yeah, robotics is still constructing. Scourge is sitting there scouting. Get him, Dragoon. Get him. Get right there. Go. There we go. Listening to me. Gonna micro underneath. Bye-bye, Scourge. Also scouted the +1 armor. Maybe 3 Corsairs making their way out. At least gonna be able to see the edge of those lurkers. Gonna pin some of the Hydralisks back. But quickly has that third base up. Has the high ground. And has 8 gateways behind this. And a 20 supply lead. And only 3 Corsairs worth of that supply. Was that 6 supply? There. And a couple of Hydralisks being pulled back. But gonna try to dive with those lurkers. This could be... The lurker positioning is gonna be huge. One lurker losing his life, trying to move up to the high ground. Psystorm over the Hydralisks. The lurkers are bunched up. They're not quite in range. A photon cannon being built. That photon cannon's going to be really critical here. Some more lurkers trying to make their way around to try to get shots at the low ground. The observatory is only halfway finished. Another Psystorm on the lurker line. And is that cannon? Oh, okay. Able to kill one lurker on the low ground. The photon cannon looks like it's going to finish. Pylons was taking some damage from spotting, but things not looking good for Emily. Still down 20 supply. Additional hatchery going up. Quickly able to get that third base up, no problem. Additional cannon, and honestly quickly is just exchanged very, very well across all this. And this Corsair remained active. Got all sorts of overlords finding that additional hatchery out there. Still a pretty sizable base, but the other problem is these, with that dead evolution chamber early, oftentimes when you're transitioning into Hyrule, you really want that +1 and additional to be able to pick off the High Templar. Here, the High Templar are honestly going to be fearless unless we see a Mutalisk swap. Drones all over the place trying to get part of that control group. They really want to fight. Looks like some nice grouping. The lack of Corsair out on the field does create kind of a tentative situation, but in the meantime, quickly snuck a lot of this army out on the map. Now it's spotted. Some Scourge getting lost in the midst of this. The Hydralisks and lurkers moving up to go ahead and defend that base. The first observer making its way out. It's going to take a while before it can get to that forward front, so quickly has to wait a little bit. And there is like kind of a decent lurker spread, but the thing is Emily can just, or quickly can just sit back and storm a lot of this. Or just peck away, or just dive in with the large army supply and maybe the upgrade advantage as well. Yeah, +1 weapons, +1 armor. A couple Zealots just losing their lives. The Psystorm with the Dragoons making the way forward. They are up in the high ground. Wow, those Overlords just getting obliterated on top of everything else. And the Lurker's not even able to burrow in the midst of this, so I think this is going to be a dead third base easily. And this was before the Observer even made its way out, right? Where's the Observer? There's the Observer. Observer finally there. Emily Dickinson, GG's. A loss for American poetics everywhere. Hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. Thanks for listening.